Hey guys, it's time to enter Rest Mode Episode 3, a podcast about PlayStation, video games, and anything else we want to talk about. I'm Johnny.
And I'm Ricky.
So Ricky, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I feel like, got most of the Christmas shopping done, a little wrapping left to do, but things are wrapping up. You all done with finals?
Yes, I am. I am done with finals, which is really nice. It's still in a little bit of disbelief about it. It's pretty nice.
Kind of that period where you feel like you have stuff to do, but it's just kind of over.
For sure, yeah. By the way, guys, we are actually recording these podcast episodes a little bit closer together, just because, Ricky, you're going to be traveling soon.
That's right. I'm going to go to Europe. I'm going to a couple of countries over there, I got a quick 2-week trip planned, so yeah, it should be really fun. By the time you guys hear this, I'll be in somewhere. I really don't even know. I have my one buddy who he's good with traveling, so he's planning everything. So
he's gonna go where the wind blows.
Well, where he takes me.
All right. So I'm actually gonna try something a little bit different this week. I recently got a comment from my friend said that I sounded too like a weatherman when I record podcasts. So I'm just gonna try to sound relaxed this week.
I need to key you all into something. Johnny, every week before we record, or every time before we record, he just says, I have something that I'm just going to surprise you with in the intro. And apparently this is it, and I'm not super huge on it, gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, I just, love recording podcasts, and it's going to be a good one.
You know, we can receive constructive criticism, but we don't necessarily have to act on it.
I'll do whatever you tell me.
Okay, be normal.
Ricky, what are you playing?
I'm not doing the whole podcast like this.
Yeah, no, don't worry, I am. It's okay.
No, you're not.
It's just a chill atmosphere where everything's fine.
This isn't the Mabim Bam Casper mattress episode.
I really wish it was.
For those of you who don't know, go listen to that. It's awesome. Can we get on with it now?
I guess. Let me just leave my Zen garden
and put the rake down and finish raking the sand.
All right, I'm just removing my floral robe.
Well, all right.
And I am doing this podcast naked. All right, so
he's not naked. Anyways,
and there's no video.
Anyways,
so Ricky, what are you playing?
So both of us have been really into Warhammer Total War. Mm-hmm. It's really awesome. I don't play a lot of kind of top-down games like this. I played a lot of Civ 5. Mm-hmm. That was a good one. And so Warhammer focuses a little bit more on the combat. Right. So why don't you give us a rundown? What's it like?
So Warhammer is essentially, I think a big thing that people really loved about the Total War games is their historical accuracy, right? So you have different battles from different periods of history, and that's really cool and all. Mm-hmm. But I like those goblins, man. So in this game,
the fantasy elements,
right? In this game, they chucked fantasy into it. They went really fun with it. I think it's got a great atmosphere, just kind of fun and exploration, fantasy. It almost feels like a little Lord of the Ringsy, a little bit, and a little. So I'm really into D&D. A little bit of D&D there too, with the dwarves ready for war and all that kind of thing. So I think that the sort of fantasy adds a lot of energy to it. I've never played any of the other ones, but I for one enjoyed the fantasy. Yeah,
both really kind of these franchises that have really, really big followings, or not big, but cult followings, people that are really faithful to these games. This is the kind of game where you can sink hundreds of hours into it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's tougher with some story narrative games, but this one, you can spend a lot of time with it.
Mm-hmm. So this is a turn-based game. Basically, you have an empire, which I recently. Actually, when I first started, I didn't know that you could rename the towns that you take over. So I had a little fun with that, went a little ridiculous with it.
Yeah, you did.
But what I really like about it is that it's turn-based, and it's not a game that you can just let me just go play for 30 minutes. It seems like it is turn-based, so you could do a turn or two, but it's really, I think it's doing its best for you when you're playing it for a good couple of hours chunk.
Exactly. I mean, you could lose sight of kind of what you're going for. Did I want to go over here? Did I want to conquer that city, or was that one? So we're playing Besiege. Why don't you tell us what's Besiege?
Right.
You love this game.
This game is great. So I initially saw it being played on LAN Party, which is Corridor Digital's and Brandon Lotch's gaming channel. If you want to go check that out, we'll put the link in the description. Great channel, really funny stuff, really entertaining. So they've been a while ago. They played this game called Besiege, where it's essentially like a medieval weapon simulator. So you have like it's like a sandbox kind of game. You have all these parts and like you have blades and drills and catapults and all this crap, and like wooden peat blocks. And so what you do is you essentially build a weapon of destruction, and then you go through different levels and kill all the enemies or destroy like whatever the level requires.
Right. It kind of puts you in this just white space, and you have a certain amount of, cubic room where you can build your weapon. You can put anything on it. There's, different wheels. There's wheels that turn on their own. There's wheels that you need something to propel them.
Right, and then you can also like map the controls to different things to start fan blades like spinning or things like that. There's a ton of things that you can make in this game.
Right. The physics kind of reminded me of Kerbal Space Program a little bit in the way that like once you finally unleash this thing with the forces of gravity, it kind of is wonky.
Yeah,
and
it starts wobbling.
Hard to drive. So yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Really good time killer if you're bored at this break.
Definitely. That's kind of like the opposite of the Warhammer, where you can just hop into Besiege, make a tank, play a game or two, and kind of hop off.
For sure, yeah, definitely.
So the last one, I've been playing a lot. Johnny, you haven't tried this one. It's called Dirt Rally. It's by Codemasters, and they're kind of known for doing these rally racing games. Really sim-heavy, simulation driving. So it's like the other end of the spectrum of, like, say, a Burnout is super arcadey.
Right.
Dirt Rally is, like, true to life. It's about as true as you can get without driving an actual rally car.
So this is not a game where you have to, through good looks and charm, rally dirt to follow you.
No, although it's close to that, in that it's not close at all.
Okay.
But, so basically, rally driving is, it's kind of like these harsh condition courses. So you're not on like just a traditional racetrack, like asphalt and that stuff. You're on gravel. You're on like this game is so in depth. For each track, it'll give you the weather conditions. It gives you there's some 2 to 3, sometimes 4 different types of road conditions. Like it'll say 25% heavy gravel, 30% light gravel, however much asphalt. Like so, you really got to think about the road conditions and what car you're going to use. It's got all sorts of cars ranging from like old 1920s racers to all the way modern new ones. And yeah, it's really hard. It's like really hard. So there's also this feature where you have, like in rally car driving, you have somebody who knows the course and they'll be calling out turns for you. And the call outs are basically, you'll say which direction, right or left, and then you give a number. And the number corresponds to a certain degree of turn. So if I say right 2, that means it's a really tight right turn.
Okay.
If I say left 6, that's like just barely a left.
Okay, gotcha.
So you have these guys calling out the track in your head before you actually hit it. So you're aware of what's coming up.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise, it'd be impossible.
Yeah.
Literally impossible.
So is this one of those like full-fledged $60 games or how much is it?
I got it on sale, but when it originally came out, I believe it was a full-fledged $60 game. It's worth it. I mean, you could... Believe me, it's going to take you a while. It almost reminded me of Dark Souls, where it took me a while to actually get into the game, just because it was so hard that I almost put it down and walked away.
A big learning curve there.
Right, and it's the same thing with Dirt Rally. So just you're going to want to drive slower first. Don't try and barrel your way through the map because you will not make it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd say now it's time to move into Game of the Week. So the Game of the Week for this episode is Star Wars Battlefront. So we thought it might be good to talk about it since Rogue One, the movie, came out, and also the Rogue One DLC for Battlefront is out now.
Right, it's been over a year, I think, since Battlefront first originally came out. And this is the last DLC pack for it. So this info comes from the EA website itself. And you get the new map of Scarif, which for those of you who've seen any trailers, that's the tropical planet, which looks really sweet. I would love to walk in there in DICE's engine and check out Scarif.
Oh, yeah, especially because that game looks beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but you get 2 new playable heroes. You can battle as the heroine Jyn Erso and the cruel but brilliant director of advanced weapon research, Orson Krennic. Which I like these heroes because you're not just, oh, here's a Jedi, here's a Sith, go to town. Like these, say Princess Leia, for instance, when you use her in the game, you also get a band of kind of like, what do you call them, rebel troops that follow her.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that's her thing. She has her bodyguards. Same thing when you're the Emperor, you have the royal guards that follow you. So it's not, the heroes are a little bit more dynamic than they have been in previous games.
Right.
You have a new mode called Infiltration Mode. Experience all new epic battles inspired by the upcoming film Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and blast opponents in a brand new multi-stage infiltration mode. It's pretty sweet looking. We got a new vehicle here. It's called the U-Wing. Players can take command of the iconic U-Wing featured in Rogue One. Got a couple new blasters, the A180 blaster pistol, the DT29. You got a couple new cards. So just a bunch of new features, a new map. It's $20 for the full season pass to get all of the DLC. So
nice.
With a game like this that's a little bit scarce on sort of content, you're going to want to pick up a lot of that DLC. And $20 for that is pretty cheap.
Yeah, get you some extra hours in that. Make it fun.
Exactly. So what do you think about all that DLC stuff?
I think it's cool. I think it's not, especially like you said with a game like that, it's good to have DLC to kind of keep people interested, especially with a new tie into the movie like that. You can play as Jyn Erso. I think that'll definitely get more people going back to Battlefront. Maybe if you haven't played it in a year or whatever, to have people jump into that, I think is a smart move on their part.
Exactly. It's not only good for gamers, but it's a great marketing strategy to be like, hey, the movie's out. Why don't you come check out our game, get back in here, and experience it from a new perspective.
Right.
That's after all what we love about video games is we interact with the characters and we kind of do it ourselves. So that moves into what do you think about Battlefront as a whole, the gameplay?
So I think this game is really fun. So initially we had gotten the beta, and we were just messing around with it. I was like, I had no expectations. I was like, I'm not going to buy this game. But once I really dug into it, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So like I said before, the game is just beautiful. It looks great. Just running around and like getting that cool lens flare at the right angle, it looks so great. I had a ton of fun with this game.
Yeah, for sure. Gameplay-wise, it's a pretty tight shooter. It's not my favorite feeling. I always say, I think, for me, the standard for a shooter is Destiny.
Right, it's no Destiny for sure.
No shooter feels better than that. But it's respectable. It's a strong kind of gameplay there. I like the star cards, so you get kind of these special power-ups you can use that are cards. They're essentially burn cards. You have a certain amount of them. And so one of them is like a sniper. So you're running through the map, and the cooldown is over, and you can pop your burn card sniper, and you get one shot through a sniper rifle. So it's essentially like powers or like a special if you've played Destiny before. And yeah, there's some interesting grenades and that kind of thing. You can get a jetpack, and there's all kinds of power ups.
Yeah, I gotta say, running back then in there right after dying, getting the perfect jetpack and the perfect shatter grenade is just super satisfying.
For sure, yeah.
All right, so next we're going to talk about the story of this game, which technically it has none.
Yeah, that was the one knock a lot of people had on this game is everything's so good, it looks so beautiful. DICE did such a good job with their engine, the Frostbite engine, and then there's just no story. There's no really single player mode. There's these missions that you can do that are kind of wave-based horde modes, but there's no actual campaign, which, I think the thing about it is this game isn't about a campaign, but everybody just wants a good Star Wars campaign.
Right.
And in this engine, it would look and feel incredible.
For sure. I do want to comment real quick that those wave-based missions are super fun.
Yeah, they're great. They're fun.
Getting into that is a really great time.
But without that story, you kind of do lose a little bit of the stickiness of the game.
For sure. But I almost feel like, maybe I'm being too... maybe this might be too big of a claim here, but if you want a Star Wars story, watch the movies. I think that Battlefront is just a great opportunity to just jump in and fight in that world.
I agree. But you look at games like Battlefield 1, for instance, another EA game. You even look at Titanfall. These games, they have incredible multiplayer, but what really kind of pushes them over the top is they also can do a campaign well. People laud the Battlefield 1 campaign. That's a major draw to the game.
Right.
And to have just as solid of a multiplayer but no campaign in Battlefront, well, it's been proven DICE can do both. So
right, yeah. And that's a totally valid complaint. I almost think that maybe it should have been priced a little bit lower for not having a story. Maybe $40 or something like that.
It would have been awesome. Right. It would have sold better. I think in the long run they would have made more money. But I think after Battlefield 1 came out and it was as good as it was and it had as good of a campaign, that's really hopeful for the next Battlefront. Because EA actually hadn't done a real great campaign for their shooters. Like Battlefield, I think Bad Company 2 was probably the last, or Bad Company 1 maybe was the last really good, solid campaign story. They went through a couple of bad ones, Battlefield, Hardline, whatever.
Right.
So seeing them return to a really strong, well-written campaign is hopeful for the future of Battlefront.
For sure, yeah.
So what about the performance? How do you think this game handles frames and all that kind of stuff?
So I played on PS4. I had no issue with frames. I think it performed great, honestly. Again, like I said, running around it all felt really smooth. Almost similar to Titanfall 2, but not as parkour-y.
Sure.
But like the jetpacking and the throwing grenades and the running around with the like nice lens flares, I think it performed really well.
Right. To me, this game is essentially like a really nice, like a vase almost. The polish on the outside, the way that it looks, the way that it feels is incredible, but it's a little bit hollow. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great I mean, DICE, the performance, that engine, like I said before, the Frostbite engine, it's incredible. The way that they built that, I mean, they could use that for a while and just churn out games in that engine, and I'd be totally okay with it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Another thing, too, is how it sort of goes along with the metaphor of the vase is if you want, you can take the disc and put flowers into that center hole.
I mean, you could.
It's kind of the same thing. It's kind of a vase, really.
And this is where analogies become real.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I've tried it. It works.
Yeah.
So let's move on.
Anyways.
Let's move on to some notable moments.
So these kind of games are the games where, people say it's a cliche, but you kind of make your own story, right? Like what you do in the game is your kind of story. So a notable moment I remember when I very first got that jetpack. There's that one planet with the blue water and the lava. What is that called? I forget what it's called.
Can't remember.
I don't know. It looks beautiful, but there's these craggy rocks that you can hide in. There's all these snipers, and essentially we had a battle position where we were battling uphill, and they had a battalion of snipers basically that were just mowing us down. And so I took my jetpack, and I was able to jump over the snipers and get them all from behind.
Oh my gosh.
It was sweet. I mean,
awesome.
that thing, it's like a boost jump that's insane. Just flings you across the map.
Yeah. That's awesome. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Yeah. So notable ones for me, again, like I said, I think one of the best parts of the game is dying is like semi-freaking, I'd say.
Yeah.
But once you die, you have that urge to just go back in and just wreck shop, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I just had, I think, the most fun running back in, like, okay, I saw those guys, I know they're there, and then you take like a different route, and then you like jetpack, and then you get them instantly.
That's what that EA and DICE do really well, is tactical kind of gameplay. It's not really a Call of Duty where you're just running around and just shooting whenever.
Right, but yeah, just kind of getting back at people is super satisfying.
There's this mission where you have the Millennium Falcon. It's kind of the center of the whole map, and it's just parked there. And the thing I like to do is the way you spawn is like the opposite sides of that map. So everybody ends up running into the big space with the Falcon. So what I like to do is jump on top of the Falcon and just kind of camp that spawn site.
Right.
And you're able to just pick them off like back to back to back. And I got this one kill streak on there that basically ended the game.
Oh my
like
gosh.
We were losing, and I came back for us and ended it just with that Falcon spot.
Oh, that's great.
So pro tips.
Yeah, there you go. So we played this game a lot. And one of my favorite parts was when you would be ahead of me and you would get shot down, and I would like get in there and avenge you really quick.
Yeah.
That, I have to say, like, I guess getting the killer back who killed you just is really satisfying.
You get a points bonus too, I think, for that, because you can do there's like a partner system, which is pretty great. So it's a great game. Go check it out if you haven't. I'm pretty sure it's on sale right now. You can get it pretty cheap, and you can get that season pass for cheap.
Yeah, go battle some fronts.
Yeah, there will be a fresh player base now that all the Rogue One hype is out. So
yeah, get it while it's hot.
Get it while it's fresh.
Go for it. Okay,
go and do it.
Get it now. This episode was sponsored by EA. Sponsored. Okay. So now it is time for Last Minute Game Report.
Oh, here we go.
Favorite segment of the show. Still, this is where I give Ricky a title of a game he hasn't played, show him the cover, and he has to give a review of the game. So this game is called No One Can Stop Mr. Domino.
No, it's not.
Here's the cover.
What is? Okay, all right. So what you're seeing here is what it sounds like. You have a domino man, and it's essentially, if you imagine a domino, it's split towards the bottom, so he has legs, right? He's got a nice tuft of hair. He's well put together. He's a white domino, which, I don't know, this could be racist, but there's for some reason...
That was one of the many complaints about it, is the potential racism.
There's for some reason a yellow pool ball in there, and what looks like a checkered board. So what happens in this game is you have Mr. Domino, right? And you're not playing as him, surprisingly.
Oh my god.
You're helping him out, right?
Okay.
So it's almost like you're like sort of a god figure, and Mr. Domino's going along his journey. Is he racist? That's part of the theme of the game. So you have Mr. Domino. There's a lot of mystery because he has nice hair. He has a nice smile. Where did he get his hair done? This is a game board. That makes no sense. Right? Why is he just white? Why is there green, red, yellow, and orange dominoes? Have you seen the Rook in the background? There's a Ferris wheel. What the hell is going on with this game? Right?
Yeah.
So there's also fireworks. So this is a big celebration at the end of the game. I don't want to spoil it.
Don't spoil it, Ricky.
But he accomplishes his goal as you help him through.
Okay.
Right?
So what I'm confused about is it's called No One Can Stop Mr. Domino. Why do you have to do anything?
Well, that's the thing. This game's a little bit sadistic because he has a smile on his face, but he's a brutal murderer.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't stop him.
So are you like clicking where he has to act his rage on?
So it's almost like a Last Guardian situation where he's like an AI. And you can't control him. You can't stop him.
He's your treat.
By no one, it means you, the player, can't stop Mr. Domino. Right? So he's running around, he's stomping, he's murdering all these people, and you're trying to get him to his goal with killing the least amount of people.
So you're trying to stop Domino's rampage.
But you can't stop him.
No one can stop. Okay.
You know, the different kind of aspects of the game are you can use a rook to stop him. You can use a checkered board to stop him. You can use a yellow pool ball, Ferris wheel.
Can you go into depth on how the rook exactly does stop Mr. Domino?
Right. So it's it's a turn-based game.
Okay.
Except for Mr. Domino. He's always moving. Constantly.
Yeah.
But you have to wait for like your turn, which is super annoying. So these different disparate parts actually move on their own. So the rook moves on its own too. But Mr. Domino, he's outside of the game. It's very meta.
Okay, so how's the gameplay? Tell me.
How
is it?
It's like a choice-based thing, right? So Mr. Domino's walking around, and when it comes to your turn, depending on who he's killing or what he's doing, you have the option, save her, or distract Mr. Domino with a yellow pool ball, or do nothing. You know, there's all these different options.
So does he have sort of an attraction to yellow pool balls? What's the story there?
Well, his father was a blue pool ball.
Okay, right.
And it just reminds him of home.
Home. Okay. Gotcha. So does he just like sit down and think?
Yeah, well, he thinks a lot during the game.
Okay.
See, that's the thing. He's outside of the turn-based system, but he loves thinking.
Okay. How do you know that he's thinking?
You'll see.
Okay.
So
hold on. I'm just a little confused.
That's fine.
Like,
it's a confusing game.
Okay, so what is he trying to do?
Well, see, he is just trying to kill. You're trying to get him to the end. Do you know what I mean by that?
What's the end?
The end of the game.
Okay.
You're trying to finish it.
So he doesn't have a goal.
He doesn't have, but you're trying to finish the game.
So just a thinker domino, just a real thinker who murders.
But I'm telling you, when you see his smile, his little puffy marshmallow hands, his tuft of hair, you're gonna love this game.
I'm getting a sense that you're attracted.
I guarantee it.
Okay. All right. So, what would you rate this game?
Well, so the critics actually, this is a critically acclaimed game. People were unsure about it in the trailers. You know, there's a lot of stuff, going on about the racism. Is this game very violent? It's rated M, like a lot of blood. Really, it looks like a friendly child's game from the cover. But actually, when it came out, it's got a really gripping story. Again, I won't spoil it, but you do finish the game eventually.
Okay.
There is an end.
Okay.
And that's good. And that that was like most of the reviews said that. This game, it received an 8.2 out of 10. That's a great score. And but I got to tell you guys, I love this game. Favorite game of the generation. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Masterpiece.
All right.
The guys who developed this game are geniuses. Sadly, Mr. Domino killed them because no one could stop him.
Okay. So how did they really... All right. So IGN gave this game a 7.8, which is good.
Wow, not bad.
It's good, yeah.
I was pretty close on that one.
Sure. So it's time to read the true story.
See, now I really don't think I got it on this one. I think I'm pretty far off.
You could be.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see.
So No One Can Stop Mr. Domino is a puzzle video game developed by Art Dink, of course.
Of course.
And released for the PlayStation in 1998. The user controls one of 5 anthropomorphic dominoes, placing other dominoes in rows that will successfully topple while avoiding obstacles and working under a time limit.
No one can stop him.
So the game includes 6 stages: a casino, a grocery store, a family home, a local park, an amusement park in the city. Yeah. Each stage is set up like a racetrack, as the character will go back to the starting point after each lap.
Okay.
The player can make as many laps as needed to clear a given stage.
Right.
When the level is cleared, the player will proceed to the next stage.
Right.
So essentially nothing like what you said.
Well, we can't get them all. I was close on the score.
I'll get them next time.
Yeah, we'll go get them.
All right. So it's time to move into the segment called Take 4. This is where we cram in all the TV, movies, and other stuff we want to talk about into the podcast. So, Rogue One.
Rogue One. You finally saw it.
I finally saw it yesterday. First of all, this movie is great.
Yeah.
I think
cool
people
movie.
were sort of split on it, right? I think some people kind of didn't like it.
I don't think so. I actually think it pretty universally has been well received by fans.
Maybe I made that up in my head.
I think you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, people really love it. I thought it was great. Again, obviously no spoilers here, but that last 40 minutes of the movie.
Oh my gosh.
It just ratchets up.
Right. So I had just finished finals yesterday when I saw it, and I was pretty tired.
Yeah.
I gotta admit. You know, at the beginning I was like, all right, what's going on? And then the second half of the movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is where the movie really takes its stride.
Right.
It gets going, and I was loving it. I perked up completely.
Yeah, and the thing about the beginning is it's necessary for the end to be so good.
Right.
If that makes sense. So,
oh yeah.
Yep. Everybody go see it if you haven't. And Rogue One's awesome.
For sure. I think that honestly, at the beginning they could have. Again, there's a lot of exposition, a lot of explaining and setting up they have to do.
Sure.
I think they accomplished it well, but I also almost feel like there could have been maybe 10 minutes cut out in the first half.
I don't think so. I think every little detail, every minute thing is necessary. I think this movie does what so many movies nowadays try to do. Take Suicide Squad, for example, or Batman versus Superman, like those DC movies that are trying to introduce all these characters in kind of weird, jarring ways. And the way that this movie, it made you care about these characters you've never seen or heard of in the span of a little bit longer than 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
It actually made every part of that movie meaningful.
And that's a good point because, again, I don't care about any of the characters in Suicide Squad.
No, not at all.
And again, those are sort of more of anti-heroes that you don't know of if you're not a huge comic book fan. And again, this is sort of the same scenario going into it where I didn't know who Jyn Erso was.
Exactly.
You don't know most of the characters in the movie yet. You do, like you said, care about all of them. So props to everyone who was involved in the making.
Yeah, they just keep getting this right. They keep getting Star Wars right, and it's amazing to see. It makes me nervous, though. Will they have a misstep? Will there be a movie that isn't as great? You know, I mean, these movies people are saying it's their favorite Star Wars movie ever.
Yeah, and I can see that, too. And this is, I guess you might say, there's a new hope for the Star Wars franchise.
I'm going to go ahead and step right over that pun into, now we want to kind of rate what we think the Star Wars movies, how they compare to one another.
And these lists are correct and everyone else is incorrect.
Also, preface, this is subjective. We understand everybody has different tastes and everything, so don't tweet at us mad things and tell us we're crazy because I know how people feel about The Return of the Jedi.
Right.
However, my list goes Return of the Jedi, number 1, my favorite. Force Awakens, number 2. Empire Strikes Back, 3. Rogue One is 4. A New Hope is 5. The Phantom Menace, 6. Revenge of the Sith, 7. And Attack of the Clones is 8.
All right. So I'm going to read my list, but I just want to reiterate, guys, you can like your own Star Wars movies in the order that you like. We're not judging you. We just want to share our opinions. Yes. And that's why they're opinions.
And ours is right, though. So
but they're correct, so you're incorrect. So my list is as follows. Number 1 is Return of the Jedi. Number 2, Empire Strikes Back. Number 3, Force Awakens. Number 4, Rogue One. Number 5, A New Hope. Number 6, Revenge of the Sith. Number 7, Attack of the Clones, and number 8, Phantom Menace.
So I just really quick want to explain a little bit of this. For some reason, Return of the Jedi is always. I think that was the first Star Wars movie I ever saw, and I don't know. It's a bit of nostalgia. I'll admit it. Star Wars is a nostalgic thing, but it was really hard for me not to put The Force Awakens in number 1.
Right.
I didn't get to experience that magic when the first Star Wars movie came out, and the combination of hype to people's expectations to the movie actually living up to those expectations, The Force Awakens just was magical to me, and I'm really not even sure that magic will ever be captured again.
Right. I think they totally nailed it.
Yeah,
and
it's ridiculous.
Making up for the mistake of the prequels.
Yeah, for sure.
And an interesting thing is I hadn't seen the old Star Wars movies, or the original trilogy. Maybe I had seen them when I was really little. I don't remember them.
Yeah.
So I watched them all essentially for the first time before The Force Awakens.
Right.
To sort of know what was going on, and I gotta say they held up really well.
Oh,
and I think that's one of the things. That's why everyone loves them, is because they're still good today.
Yeah.
But it's The Force Awakens is up there, and I think it's better than A New Hope on my list because, as you know. Some of the effects in the first couple are not as great. The lightsabers don't look as good, but obviously all forgivable things. The technology has advanced. But I think that's why Force Awakens. I think the Force Awakens is so high on the list is because they have the modern technology and the modern visual effects that really bring it into the modern era. I guess.
Sure, yeah, and they were able to bring that grittiness, that practicality of the Star Wars movies that made them good. And I also want to say that. Number 1 all the way through number 5, basically excluding the prequels, all the Star Wars movies, the other ones are split by a hair.
Oh yeah. And
so by saying Rogue One is number 4 on my list, that doesn't mean it's the fourth. I don't know. I don't want you to think that it's bad. It's still an incredible movie.
Right.
Ranking Star Wars is
like picking favorite children.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're all amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So next thing we want to talk about is the John Wick 2 trailer.
Yeah, watch this trailer. It's short, but it's awesome.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. So Ricky actually told me to watch the first John Wick, which I'm very grateful for because that movie is great.
That movie's so rad. I mean, it's been lauded by like military personnel and stuff about how accurate it is with he doesn't shoot bullets endlessly out of a gun without ever changing the clip.
Right.
The action is actually pretty realistic, and the fact that it's so stylish and so choreographed well that it's just incredible.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite parts about the first movie is that throughout the movie you do see John Wick reloading a lot,
right.
And that's realistic because, again, there's not endless clips in real life.
Exactly.
And one of my favorite parts is he has this guy, pinned up against a wall, and he takes a moment to reload his gun and then shoot him in the head, which is, kind of funny and, just great.
Really cool. So, it's coming out soon. It comes out in February. And, okay, the cast of this movie is insane.
Yes.
It's kind of... I'm actually really surprised it's coming out so soon.
Yeah, I thought it would be coming out later down the line, but
so I'm gonna let me look up here the cast real quick.
They got Morpheus in there.
Yeah.
Which is everyone loves Morpheus. Got to throw him in
Lawrence Fishburne, incredible. So obviously Keanu Reeves. You have John Leguizamo, who I love. Ian McShane, who's a masterclass. Common's in it, which is interesting. You have Lawrence Fishburne, obviously, as we mentioned. So yeah, this cast is just freaking dynamite. And I love Ian McShane. He's awesome. So yeah, John Wick 2 looks pretty great.
And again, you've got the star, Keanu Reeves. Who is fantastic.
Let's talk about how much we love Keanu Reeves.
All right.
The Matrix, really close to one of my favorite sci-fi movies. Obviously, if Star Wars didn't exist, it would be the favorite.
Right.
The Matrix is awesome.
Fantastic.
And I do want to say, though, the trailer, they're kind of doing that thing again where I'm out of the game. That's not me anymore.
Right, yeah.
I mean, spoilers for John Wick 1, you should have seen it already.
Oh, yeah.
He is this kind of normal guy, and he comes back into the world of being an assassin or whatever. And you think by the end of it, he realizes he's back in it.
Right, yeah.
And just the fact that they're playing off that kind of tropey, like, I'm retired, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it feels a little weird to, like, do that same, like, hero cycle refusal of the call twice.
Exactly. Like,
I see what you mean there.
They should have just kept rolling with it. However, the premise of the movie we got from the trailer is basically that there's a big contract out on John Wick's head, so every assassin is now looking for him.
Right.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, and a testament to Keanu Reeves. He's what, like, middle-aged now?
Yeah.
He's not the youngest guy, but he still can bring it seems like, yeah.
You have to watch the first movie and the trailer.
For sure.
It's awesome.
And again, another great thing in the trailer is we're seeing that we're getting that same awesome style of John Wick. It's kind of like super action heavy, but also there's like I could tell there's probably going to be some funny moments there too, like clever lines from Keanu. And then you've also got the same like great action just from the trailer. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. The way I don't know, I love seeing him just mow people down one by one, in almost like realistic fashion. Like
for sure, great. Yeah. All right, so I guess it's time to talk about games we're excited for.
Yeah. So we have two today. The first one being the new God of War, which everybody knows. God of War, not known for its best character, there's been a lot of talk about how people don't like him. He's just this kind of angry guy, Kratos, rah, I'm this big muscle man, I'm going to rage against everybody.
The god.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's all in the title, right? But this time around, they're going for a completely different style of game. It's a complete overhaul. It's going to be this semi kind of open world. It's this third person, the other games were a little bit arcadey. They were kind of beat 'em ups, like pseudo, but this new one looks really, really cool. And a really cool thing about it is, supposedly there's no loading screens. I mean, the game just rolls. It just keeps on going.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it looks really great. It's gorgeous. It's a PS4 exclusive and by Santa Monica Studios, and we're looking forward to that one.
Yeah. This is the God of War that had that trailer over the summer, right? At that.
Yeah, it was
at E3.
It's been at E3.
Okay.
They didn't show it at PSX, which I kind of was hoping to see a little bit more. But that demo they showed at E3 was really pretty long, lengthy.
Yeah, and I have never played a God of War game, but the thing that showed at E3 made me excited. It looked very cool.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this one is they're moving into kind of Nordic mythology. So you have Vikings, you have just different. They've always dipped into kind of different gods from other time periods. So this one's going for the Nordic feel. It's snowy. It looks cold. Like it looks really cool.
Yeah, I just love games that have like cool snow atmospheres.
Yeah, it's great. All right. So the next one is called Hob by Runic Games. It's a little bit smaller known game. And this is a PS4 console exclusive. It's also going to be on PC. There's no release date yet for this. But Hob, it's essentially, it almost feels a little bit Zelda-ish. It's kind of that 2.5D perspective where you're not quite top-down, but you're kind of axonometrically looking at the character. And you have this big kind of mechanical arm, and you're not really told why or what's going on. It looks very mysterious, but you're moving around things in the environment, and the actual landscape of the map changes. So, like, say you have a cube and you drag it over to a point where the cube's supposed to go, the entire, earth around you shifts and changes so you can move on.
Right. Is that kind of reminds me of Monument Valley, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
It's not quite, contained like that.
Right.
Looks kind of like an open world puzzle game. So.
Right. And another thing, again, I think I talked about on the last episode, or maybe, that Skyward Sword was one of my favorite games.
Sure.
In this, like you said, it really reminds me of that like Zelda puzzle, like pushing cubes around, figuring things out, which really gave me some nostalgia and made me like really excited for this game.
Right. This is an excerpt from the Runic Games website. This is really cool. It says they have a wordless narrative presented without text or dialogue. Hobb's story is revealed as you explore the planet and interact with the strange life forms that inhabit it. So it's kind of a lot of mystery. It's going to be a game where you don't know what's going on until a little bit into it, which I think is really compelling.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of fun to play. And again, I really like the art style. It's kind of cel-shaded and kind of brighter colors, I guess.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is I like games that don't try to be cutting edge or try to look like real life.
Exactly.
I like games that sort of take their own path with it and go a little more stylistic.
For sure. It's cool to see this kind of game on PS4.
Right, yeah. And it seems like it's got, I mean, all I really saw was the trailer, but it seems like it's got sort of like a fun kind of exploration-y atmosphere, too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I think that about does it for us today. Thank you guys for listening so much. So again, we are on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/restmodepodcast, and our Twitter is @restmodepodcast.
Yep.
So go follow us there. Leave us any feedback. Let us know what you want to. Let us know what you want us to talk about next. And I'm Johnny, which is @johnyboz on Twitter, JOHNEBOSWORTH.
And I'm Ricky, which is Ricky Rackham, as it's spelled, on Twitter.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Goodbye. Oh, yeah. We haven't released these 2 episodes. So in the last one, I think we asked for suggestions for an outro.
Right.
So we're just going to fade to music.
Or rest some modes.
Get it going.
Bye-bye.